There are a lot of Instagram growth courses out there, and there is a lot of extremely intentional and well thought out marketing that is trying to convince us to purchase those courses. If you've ever felt skeptical about somebody's Instagram growth course or any other kind of social media marketing course, good. You should stay skeptical because honestly, there is a lot of bullshit out there disguised as social media marketing advice. The truth is, growing on Instagram or any other social media platform is hard. It's extremely difficult, and people are far too willing to pay for what they think is going to be the fast track to internet fame. I've been in the world of social media marketing for a number of years now, and I've taken a couple courses along the way, though to be honest, all of my advice and the best tips and tricks that I have come from my own personal experience and through experimentation and research, and not necessarily from a course. So that's not to say they haven't been useful in other ways. The benefit of online courses compiled by industry experts is not that they provide some secret list of tips and tricks that you need to know in order to grow. Rather, the value is in the fact that it's all the information that you need compiled by somebody that you trust and whose processes and work you probably admire. So really, you're not necessarily paying for the information, you're paying for the convenience of having credible information all in one place so that you don't have to spend your own time surfing through the internet trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And presumably it will include specific details that you want to learn because you can choose a course depending on who it's geared to. So overall, it's about not having to sift through the copious amounts of free information online. It's about having it all in one place that's easy to learn from. So at the end of the day, it's just so important to remember that the benefit of these courses is not that they provide some secret sauce that you cannot find anywhere else, because the real secret about Instagram growth is that it just takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work and some luck. The benefit is it's all the information you need in one easily accessible place, and it can be kind of fun to work through them. In the world of Instagram marketing, Jenna Kutcher is one of the biggest names out there. If you've been watching my channel for a while, then you've probably heard me reference her before. If you're not familiar, she's a creator with almost 1 million followers on Instagram who is known for talking about body confidence, her struggle with infertility, and of course, all of her marketing advice. She has a podcast called Goal Digger where she interviews industry experts and shares advice about all kinds of different marketing topics. Let's be real, if you click on this video, you probably know who she is. I admire the work that she's done quite a bit, but don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily align with her 100%. There have been times where I've been disappointed with the things that she's posted or the decisions she's made, and I know that our values don't line up 100%. I just feel like I had to say that because I don't want my support or, positive review of her to be interpreted as me agreeing with her 100%. She's not perfect. She's a human being just like me. None of us are perfect, and I'm just saying there are things we probably don't agree with, and that's okay. I just wanted to get that out of the way as a disclaimer. That being said, I followed her work for a long time, and last fall she was doing a huge sale on a bunch of her courses, so I ended up getting the Instagram Lab, the podcast course, then the Pinterest course. And I thought I would share my thoughts about the Instagram course because I thought some of you might be curious about that. I'll be real, I bought these courses partially because I wanted to see what I might be able to learn from them, but as a social media marketing expert myself, I was kind of curious to see how they were structured and how much content was included for the price point as a bit of market research as someone who may be interested in creating more courses in the future. So that was kind of my motivation behind buying them. I feel like for a lot of us, there can be some serious FOMO associated with the idea of not purchasing some of these big influencers' courses. They talk about them so much, they hype them up, of course, they're trying to sell them, and so it makes you feel like you need to buy into it if you want to know what's going on and be on the inside. But let's be honest, that purchase can be pretty inaccessible to some people. Right now, Jenna's Instagram Lab course is listed for $297 USD. I got it for slightly less though because it was part of this course bundle sale from a while back. But anyway, it's not necessarily an unreasonable price for an online course because there's obviously value that's being offered there, but I'm just saying it's not going to be accessible to everybody. She does offer pricing plans, I believe, which allow you to pay for it over a series of months, but I'm personally not a huge fan of pricing plans. Sometimes I feel like it's just a way to convince people who can't really afford your course that they can afford it. But that's just my own personal philosophy on personal finance, because aside from something like a house, I wouldn't purchase anything that I don't already have all the cash in hand for. But that's just me. Obviously, it's a personal decision, but that's why I've never offered pricing plans. Anyway, all this is to say, it can be hard to tell if a course is going to be worth it before you actually purchase it and drop hundreds of dollars on it. And so in this video, I'm going to tell you if I think Jenna Kutcher's Instagram Lab course is worth it. For the sake of not being a jerk and also not going against all of the agreements that, you check off when you purchase a course, I'm not going to show you the actual course content. I wouldn't feel right about taking somebody else's work and just showing it to you. But I am going to go through the structure of the course because it's the kind of thing that you'd be able to see from a preview or from the marketing anyway. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on each different section and how valuable I thought it was. When you first open the course, you're taken to this little welcome section, which is nice. All of the videos included throughout this course are slideshow style presentations with a voiceover, which is fine. That's pretty standard for online courses like this. Personally, I'm partial to this style of video where you can actually see the person talking. It just feels a little bit more engaging, but I understand that that can be a big undertaking, especially for people who aren't a big fan of being on video, which I know Jenna has said that she's not, so I get it. It's also easier to update if you just do the voiceover thing, but that's just a note. All you're going to do is hear her voice, just like you would if you listened to her podcast, I guess. The next section is more of a choose-your-own-adventure format with different sessions geared towards different kinds of creators. So there's one for people that are selling products, one for people that are selling services, and then one for people that are creating a personal brand. It's nice that there is stuff specific to different kinds of creators, but it does mean that I've left some of this section unwatched because I don't create physical products. I'm not planning on doing it anytime soon, and so that content is just not relevant to me, which is fine. The next section is really what walks you through the juicy stuff. This is the content that we really paid for. This covers all the different parts of Instagram strategy that people are mostly wanting to improve on, like creating a visual brand, writing better captions, scheduling your posts, or creating a content calendar. Probably my favorite section out of all of these was the caption one because I already felt pretty comfortable with the imagery part. However, I did always admire Jenna's captions and the way that she connected with people, so I was curious to see what content would be there, and I did find it useful. But the rest of this content here, I can see why it would be really helpful to somebody who's a total beginner, but for me it was just a little bit of review, so yeah, that's why the caption one stood out the most to me. Moving on, the deep dive modules focus on really specific topics and techniques surrounding Instagram content creation. It discusses things like how to set up your bio, personal versus business accounts, the pros and cons of having one versus two different Instagram accounts. As you can see from my screen recording here, I've only really watched 2 of them, so I guess I can't speak to the usefulness of all of them, but to be totally real, I just didn't feel like I needed a breakdown of personal versus business accounts because I already have my mind made up as to which I think is better, and in my opinion, it's a business account. Anyway, so that's just one example of why stuff like the influencer marketing one was more interesting to me because I kind of wanted to hear her ideas and strategies around it, but stuff like what to put in your Instagram bio, I was like, I kind of know. But from the content that I did watch in this section, I feel like it was helpful. It was high quality stuff. It's just a little bit basic for somebody in my position. The next section of the course is completely filled with technical tutorials that show you step by step how to do different stuff like use a camera, use different scheduling platforms, use Lightroom to edit your photos. I'm going to be real, I have not watched a single one of these, and that is because as a social media marketing professional, I'm already kind of used to my own ways of doing things. I don't need to watch a tutorial on how to use Plan because I already use Later and I know the ins and outs of it, and that's just my preferred method. And obviously, as somebody who's been a professional videographer, I know my way around the camera, so I didn't really need a tutorial on that. Finally, the last section of the course includes a few bonuses, like a PDF that gives you some content ideas, which I did find pretty helpful. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a look at what's included and what you think might be applicable to you. So that's my experience of the Instagram Lab. Now I want to share with you my overall impressions and recommendations of if I think you should purchase it. Here's my first takeaway, and this is complete, brutal honesty. I did not find it that useful. However, I want to be clear in saying this is not something that I hold against Jenna at all. I think that the way she markets her course is very honest and true. I don't think it's misleading at all. It's on me for buying a course that is pretty clearly meant for beginners when I'm somebody who's already a professional in the industry. And this takes me back to my original reason for buying the course. Like I said, I kind of wanted to see if there'd be something to learn in it for me, but I also was just kind of doing it to see what I considered the industry standard Instagram course to include and what would be included for that kind of price point, etc., etc. So I don't necessarily regret buying it, even though I didn't get a lot of useful information out of it. The second main takeaway I have is that honestly, a lot of the stuff that I was learning from it, some of it was repeats from Jenna's free content, like the podcast or stuff that she's put on her Instagram or her blog. Now, I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing because like I was saying before, the real value of an online course is that it's all the information compiled in one place. So sure, you could spend days and weeks listening to every episode of the Gold Digger podcast she's ever made, or you could get this course, pay $300 for it, and get all of the best Instagram information in one place. So that brings me to the big conclusion. Do I recommend buying this? Honestly, I think it really depends where you're at in your Instagram journey and what kind of information you're looking for. I feel like I gave a pretty comprehensive overview of all the different sessions and modules within the course. So if you saw some titles in there that you were like, yeah, I really do want to learn more about that, then maybe this course is for you. I think it was kind of on me for buying a course that wasn't necessarily meant for me. So if you feel like you're the target audience, I do feel like there's some good information you can get there. Honestly, I think a part of me in this like wishful thinking brain of mine thought, Jenna's so successful. If I just buy this course, I'll be as successful as her. There's going to be some secret weapon in there that's going to kickstart my Instagram growth, and I'm just really going to start growing after this. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And you know what? She never promised that is what the course would do. That's just kind of what I subconsciously associated it with. So yeah, there's no secret formula for success contained within this course. It's just the good tried and true methods that work when you put in the work over time and have persistence and you're consistent, like I always say. The lesson at the end of the day, or the moral of the story, is really that it can be so easy for any of us to assume that the golden ticket to growth, the thing that's finally going to change the game for us and make our dreams come true, is by throwing money at the problem and buying a course. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. It's not the case with Jenna's course. It's not the case with my course or any online course about social media marketing you can buy. You can't buy a real, engaged online community of people that are invested in your content. That's the kind of thing that can only come about after months and years of hard work and, like I always say, a little bit of luck. Online courses can be a great way to expand your knowledge, and it can certainly be a fast track towards learning some of these strategies. Many of us have spent hours watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, and reading blog posts that we maybe could have compiled into just a couple days of learning had we done it through an online course. But either way of learning is really fine. It just depends on what style of learning you prefer, how much time you're willing to put into it, whether you'd rather learn from one singular authoritative source or if you'd rather learn from a lot of different sources that are free online. It's kind of a preference thing, and then obviously how much time you have versus what your budget would be to invest in a course. Really, when it comes to Instagram growth, you can do it totally for free, totally on your own, or you can do it with the help of paid resources, and either is totally fine. So I hope this was a helpful review for you if you were considering purchasing the Instagram Lab. Honestly, I wanted to make this video to talk about Jenna's course, partially because she's one of the biggest creators in this niche, and I took her course, so I thought I would review it. But more than anything, I just wanted to talk about my thoughts on online courses as a whole. I'd be really curious to know, have you ever purchased a course that claims to help with Instagram growth? And if so, what was your experience? If it was my course, please say good things. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm always open to feedback and I want to improve the products and services I provide, so go off. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, you would probably really like this video, so make sure you go watch that next. Before you go though, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos, and if you really don't want to miss them, hit the notification bell too. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you over in this video. Okay, bye.